Last time, our heroes found themselves mistaken for prisoners on Devil's Island, one of the worst of the French penal colonies. It operated for 100 years and didn't finally shut down until 1953. That's the year I was born. This went on that long. At its worst, the place had a 75% death rate, and its best wasn't much better. Not only did you have brutal overlords who didn't mind beating a man to death, you had prisoners turning against each other for what little there was, and on top of that, the place was rife with tropical diseases. I think Tony and Doug would rather be back at Little Bighorn.
You are the elite, the political prisoners whose ideas might be infectious. Therefore, you have been isolated on this small section of the smallest of our 3 islands. Only a few 100 feet long and a few 100 feet wide.
Doug and Tony try to raise their protest and end up with bruised ribs for their trouble. The sergeant in charge of them says, "Make the slightest twitch that I don't like and you're dead."
I know one thing. We don't cross him. He means what he says.
I'm sure he does. But I don't intend to spend the rest of my life in this place.
We're gonna have to just concentrate on keeping alive.
Remember how you got here, Tony? Give them enough time to lock onto you and they'll get you out the same way. Until they do, I recommend you keep your head down. At night, they're put in leg irons so they don't walk in their sleep.
How long have you been here?
Just arrived on the island. I've been a guest of the prison administration for 3 years. I was in the army and I questioned the wisdom of the French colonial policy to one of my officers.
How much longer does he have? He doubts they remember they have him. People would sometimes disappear when they got to Devil's Island.
Is there a doctor here on this island?
What would they need a doctor for? The sooner we are finished, the better for them. The more they would like it.
Sometimes I think I would like to live forever, just to embarrass them.
I like the way he thinks.
Henri Boudère, the army lieutenant who tried to uncover graft in the army of his country. The eternal Henri Boudère.
You mean you've never thought of escape?
I am here because I was betrayed by men whom I considered my best friend.
Been there, done that. It hurts.
I don't trust anyone.
They're having trouble getting a solid lock on the boys, as usual. The equipment is barely holding that image, and they're having to try and nail down the time the old-fashioned way. Look at the uniforms, the construction, anything that might be distinctive enough to give them a time period. Now, if the boys were thinking, they'd assume the control room was watching them and ask somebody what the date is. But from the instant they tumbled onto the shore of this island and watched those 2 guys dive into the water, according to the commandant, those guys are shark poop now, they determined to do everything wrong.
Any luck?
No. What about you?
They have no will to escape. None of them will even listen to me. And the odds are 100 to 1 against our getting out of here alive by ourselves.
Keep your heads down and your noses clean until the tunnel folks can yank you out of there.
If I could only get to the commandant, maybe I could make him listen to reason.
All right. Go now.
What about Lescaut?
I'll take care of him. Just watch your chance.
They've made enough jumps that they should know the drill by now. I don't know why they insist on endangering themselves like this. That did not go as planned. Close enough.
How did you get in here?
He used the door. You watched him.
Do you know the penalty for what you're doing?
I have some idea, but I think it's worth the risk. I have to talk to you, and this is the only way I could do it.
Well, if a man is willing to risk his life for the sake of a little conversation, then the least I can do is to oblige him.
Doug explains that they're part of a scientific expedition that got lost and wound up here. I don't know why he doesn't tell the commandant about the 2 guys they watched dive into the water, but he asks the commandant to write to his headquarters and ask about them. The commandant takes their names and says, "I'll send it off right away, and while we're waiting, let's move you 2 to better quarters."
I don't think you will need that any longer, do you?
I'm greatly relieved, Commandant. This isn't exactly the spot I'd picked for my vacation.
Drop your pistol to the floor.
Yes, Doug was naive enough to trust him. When you've got the gun, make the other guy go first. His punishment? The hot box. Tony knows that man from the history books.
You are Captain Alfred Dreyfuss?
I am?
You've been assigned to my jurisdiction, Captain. You will be given your own quarters, pending the outcome of your appeal in Paris.
The Dreyfuss affair isn't that well known anymore, and honestly, I had to look it up. I had heard the term before, but never knew the reference. Alfred Dreyfuss was a Jewish French military officer who was accused of passing secrets to the Germans. He was tried and convicted pretty much without a shred of evidence and sentenced to life on Devil's Island in 1894. When the press got hold of the story, it went viral, as we would say today. The more they dug into it, the more it emerged as a tale of corruption, miscarriage of justice, anti-Semitism, and cover-up. We're at the beginning of that story. He's being kept in separate quarters away from the other prisoners.
If he's here, we have to get him out.
The sergeant throws his weight around a bit just to prove that the cruelty is the point, then leaves.
Teak! I'm going to kill him!
I'm gonna give him an excuse to kill you. Is that what you want?
Someday I'll see him dead.
Where did you get that iron bar?
I picked it up near the supply hut.
He actually has a weapon. What none of them has is a plan.
How long can a man live in a sweatbox like that, General?
I don't know. I do know that in the prison camps in Malaya, some of them lasted 3 days.
But French Guiana's on the equator. The ground temperature there hits 150 degrees.
And if they're going to make one that includes Doug, they might want to hurry. Thanks to Dreyfuss's arrival, they now have a precise time fix on the boys. But they need a spatial lock, something that can pinpoint their precise location. It won't be easy since they're in two separate locations.
Here's some water.
No. No. No water there.
Once again, the cruelty is the point. Some things don't change across time or nations. There are still groups that use that approach.
The guards to be relieved will report to the boat landing on the morning of the 17th at 7 o'clock.
But that's going to leave only 4 men on guard here.
Only for a few hours. Besides, it doesn't matter. The convicts aren't going anywhere.
That means the place will be vulnerable at that time. Perfect time to try and plan an escape. That night, Baudère uses his pry bar to get out of his leg irons.
Where are you going?
I'm going to see Dreyfuss.
I'm going with you.
I suppose he's entitled since he was the one who told them Dreyfuss was there. It's time to start making that plan, even though they don't yet know what Doug knows about the guard situation.
We are planning an escape, Captain.
Escape. For you, that is right, Baudère. Get back to France. Fight those who have forgotten what France stands for. Fight them. Fight them with all your heart and soul.
He's not quite catching the part where they want to take him with them. They'll have to work on that. Meanwhile, some other things are falling into place.
It's there. You must see it.
What are you talking about?
A boat. Behind you. Look through the trees.
They found an unattended, seaworthy boat on one of the beaches. One of their number is a tailor, so he can make a sail out of blankets. A few provisions and the right timing of the tide, and they're gone. Ray and Ann have the coordinates for both men now, and they're all set to try a split retrieval, something they haven't done before. But now they shouldn't have to.
Doug, are you all right?
Well, I'm alive.
They're both in the same place again. You should be able to do it the way you usually do. Tony and Doug both know Dreyfuss never escaped from Devil's Island. He was finally released in 1899. But he's the whole reason these men have the will to try and escape. When it comes time to tell them Dreyfuss isn't going, it won't be pretty. Even though Dreyfuss himself has already tried to subtly tell Baudère that he doesn't want to escape. He's happy to keep being a viral news story that continues to expose the corruption in the French military and government. Baudère and the others can't see a picture that big.
All right, Anne, synchronize your signals.
Signals are synchronized.
It shouldn't be difficult since they're right next to each other. Have they realized Doug is back in the barracks?
Did you get supplies? I got it. It's in the keg.
He stole some tins of food. They're in a secret compartment in the bottom of the cask. The rest of the cask has water, which they'll also need. They almost have everything, and Doug has the perfect day to pull it off, thanks to those talkative guards.
It's now or never. Activate!
I think our sights are still pulling a little to the right. He's freaked out, naturally. Once they have him calmed down, the general tries to explain where he is, but he just wants to know how they know his name. May as well show him.
If only we'd been where Baudère was standing, we'd be back in the time tunnel now.
Let's go. He's coming back.
More important, he wants to know where Baudère is.
Behind there.
Yes. I know that you're disoriented by your trip through time. But there's some things that we have to talk about before we send you back.
Send me back?
We may have a problem.
The lives of our men depend on your going back.
What about my life? If I go back there, they will kill me. I don't know what this place is. But I feel free here. And I have no intention to go anywhere. I will stay here.
Correction, we do have a problem. He asks for food and there's nothing for it but to bring him some. He probably hasn't had any real food in a very long time. I suppose they could have the guards force him back into the tunnel, but if they sent him back now, he'd materialize right on top of Lescaut's head. That might go badly for him.
Commencing at dawn, I will execute one prisoner each hour until you have told me where the escaped convict has gone. Or you have told me where he is.
Or he runs out of prisoners, which is what will happen because Doug and Tony are the only ones who know, and he doesn't believe them when they tell him. As if to punctuate the whole thing, one of the guards starts greasing the guillotine. It's an amazing scene for what it conveys without a word.
He won't do that. He would not kill them all.
You're sure about that?
You're the only man who can save their lives. And perhaps help Captain Dreyfuss.
No, I will not. Bring them all out of there with your machine. You brought me here.
Baudère, your coming here was an accident. The machine hasn't been perfected.
It was supposed to grab those other two guys, remember? But he's going to change his mind anyway when he sees this.
Will Dreyfuss take the bait?
The government thinks he will. If he does, they will have Dreyfuss as they would like him. Killed while trying to escape. Together with an unexpected dividend. A few other dead political troublemakers.
Baudère realizes it's a trap, and he's the only one who knows. He has to go back and warn them.
Is escape from Devil's Island possible?
Yes. If you go far enough north to stay out of the coastal tides. Those who made it reached Trinidad. The British were sympathetic.
I know those waters. I'm ready to go.
They get him a weather report for their departure date, just in case he and the others can pull it off without Dreyfuss.
Baudère, tell Newman and Phillips to be at the northwest corner of the barracks at exactly 8:13.
Northwest corner, 8:13.
Anne's weather report is favorable for an escape that day, and he's ready to go. He says, "How do I do this?"
You just walk straight into the tunnel.
And don't mind the explosions, that's normal. In the barracks, the sergeant is asking if anyone is ready to talk.
I tell you, Sergeant.
Yes?
What you heard is true. He was here one moment and gone the next. The devil took him.
Devil take you all.
What reason would they have to concoct a crazy story like that and try to make you believe it? If he was thinking like an actual guard instead of a petty little bully, he might find out a few things. But an awful lot of guys get into a job like this because they're insecure about the size of their dingling.
Now you say your prayers. You're about to die. All right? Now let us go.
2 guards down, only 2 left on the island. One is guarding Dreyfuss, the other is waiting by the guillotine.
Stay right where you are. Not a sound out of you, not a move.
I hate to say it, but it's going exactly the way the commandant wants. Tony and another man are on their way to the boat with the supplies, but the other man is nervous about Dreyfuss. Tony has to tell him that Dreyfuss isn't going. He's not taking it well.
Are you in the pay of the government? Do you think I would go without Captain Dreyfuss?
You don't have any choice. Boudère!
Where have you been? This one and his friend are giving the orders.
Listen to me. Stop it!
Okay, Boudère can tell him it's a trap and all the rest. He can clear this whole thing up.
You were picked up by the time tunnel, weren't you? Then you must know about Dreyfuss. Tell him!
Give me the gun, Boudère.
No!
Bad dream. That's what it was. Bad dream.
Except his brain is scrambled. It was all too much for him, so he's writing it off as a dream, hallucination, anything but what it couldn't have been.
He's forgotten all about telling Tony and Doug to get ready for a retrieve. We'll just have to take them on the run if we can.
Synchronize our signals, Anne. We'll go back to standby.
The best laid plans. Boudère is back to rescue Dreyfuss mode. He's forgotten the whole thing is a trap. But Claude has the rifle now, and Tony has no choice but to go with him and finish rescuing the captain.
An escape?
Yes, Captain.
So you have your chance, Captain Dreyfuss, and there's nothing I can do to prevent your escape. One chance in a million. It could never hurt.
I hope Doug is paying attention because the Commandant seems awfully happy about this.
Are you all right, Captain? Yes, yes. Hurry. We don't have much time.
You're not coming with us?
No. The captain never tried to escape from Devil's Island.
Never try. What are you talking about?
He means the captain won't go.
Then I will not go.
It is not your choice to make. All of you, your duty is to go.
They did not see that coming.
My duty is to remain here. All my life, if need be. As a living reminder that honor must be restored to the army of France.
So they're all set, but Doug just realized something.
Everything's been so easy. Everything's been too easy, too convenient. The guards being sent away are stumbling on a boat that just happened to be in good condition.
I say we don't question Providence.
The Commandant planned it all. Everything was made very easy for us. All of it, so that
Captain Dreyfuss would be killed attempting to escape.
The Commandant almost seemed excited about not being able to stop him. If that strikes you as normal, we need to talk.
An ambush? Where would he have sent the guards?
There are rocks overlooking the beach. That would be the logical place.
Then I say we take him by surprise and kill him.
No. No, the Commandant's been thoughtful enough to plan everything for our convenience. You launch the boat. Tony and I'll take care of the guards.
I think it's Napoleon who's supposed to have said, never interrupt your enemy when he's making a mistake.
Captain. Yes? If it's any comfort to you, you don't have long to stay here. They'll take you back to France. You'll be exonerated.
It wouldn't be an easy road. In 1896, word came out that another officer was the one who had really been selling secrets to the Germans, and Dreyfuss was innocent. The French High Command held another secret trial and convicted him again based on the same phony evidence, so they upheld his sentence to Devil's Island. He was finally pardoned, released, and brought back to France in 1899, but he wouldn't be exonerated until 1906. He returned to military service and took part in World War I. I gather he was more forgiving than I would have been. For now, he's going to stay here and be a thorn in the Commandant's side, and I think he's going to enjoy it. It's an extended fight and it's well done, but of course Doug and Tony win in the end. Not only was it nice of the Commandant to set all this up for them, it was nice of him to only station 2 guards to handle the ambush. Again, don't interrupt your foe when he's making a mistake. The Commandant made quite a few.
Come on, look at that blessed fog! They will never catch us!
Never mind, they have their own transportation. Baudelaire and his comrades sail away into that blessed fog headed for Trinidad. Did they make it? We don't know. A few people did escape from Devil's Island, but those guys will navigate their way to obscurity and we won't find out what happened to them. We have more urgent matters to attend to. It doesn't seem to matter where they land, there's somebody strutting around with a gun. You'd think a device as sophisticated as the time tunnel could transfer him without throwing him face first into a door.
Yo, citizen, come here. Go pour me shoot. Come here, citizen.
What do you want?
You are under arrest.
Arrest? Well, what have I done?
I guess existing after dark is enough. Tony is trying to figure out where and when they are.
Wait till you say, citizen.
What are they doing with that man?
Oh, he is on his way to the guillotine. Another aristocrat. That proud head will soon be in a basket.
Doc.
How did they conclude he's an aristocrat? They've gone from a French penal colony to the French Revolution and the Reign of Terror. The tunnel seems to have a mad-on for the French all of a sudden. Or else it really wants to eliminate Doug and Tony and blame the French. It's hard to tell what that thing is thinking sometimes.